हरे कृष्ण। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावन चारी यमुना तीरावन चारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरावन चारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जयो राधा काला चंजी राधा काला चंजी राधे। जयो राधा गोविंद राधे। जयो जगन्नाथ जयो बलदेवा जयो सुभद्रा। Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Gurudev, 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Praying at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, our dear most Srila Prabhupada and our dear Lord Krishna, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, may I speak few words in the glorification of our dear Lord for the purification of myself and the pleasure of the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Kathanchana smite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismite vipritam syat Shri Chaitanya namami tvam. Adi 14.1. Things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right. So we are in Lord's Tour of South India. By Kalachandji's mercy, we will be ending today this chapter. So this is chapter, this is Madhya 7, and verse we are reading is 136 on. Madhya 7:136. বাসুদেব নাম এক দ্বিজ মহাশয়, সর্বাঙ্গে গলিত কুষ্ঠ তাতে কিরাময়. So last what we heard was this Kurma Brahman, right? He was coming all the way. Like we have discussed about Indian culture, that when the guest is leaving, you go to certain, time behind them, and then to tell them then how much you have cherished their association, and you want them to come back. It's not that they leave and you close the door on their face, or as soon as they leave. So that's a culture, and that's what we see here, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was leaving. As he was leaving Kurma Brahmana's place, also Kurma, the host was also trying to leave the house. First he was actually wanted to leave, then Mahaprabhu gave wonderful instructions that stay where you are and practice Krishna consciousness, and you will get Krishna. Here also we see that when Kurma came, and then eventually Mahaprabhu lovingly sent him back, and he continued. Now there's another story. There's now the story of, we paused it there, we heard about Kurma. Now this is a story of Vasudev, leopard. He had leprosy. It's okay. So the verse, it says that, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki. There was also a Brahmana. Thank you, Prabhu. There was also a Brahmana named Vasudev, who was great son, who was a great person, but was suffering from leprosy. Indeed, his body was filled with living worms. I don't know if you have seen any. It's in Hindi it's called Kushta. In Bengali also it's called Kushto. And I used to go to a church earlier, and it's called Infant Jesus Church in Bangalore. And there will be so many, this Kushta rogis, there's diseased with leprosy. And they'll be so, they're usually outcasted because they feel it will contaminate the person who touches them. And they'll be sitting, and only option they have is to beg, because they can't do anything, nobody will associate with them, and so they have no hope. And such a person was Vasudev, leopard. He had leprosy. But he was a devotee. 137. অঙ্গ হইতে যেই কিরা খসিয়া পড়ে, উঠাইয়া সেই কিরা রাখে সেই ঠায়ে. This is like, other day you were asking Jayahari Prabhu about humility, right? This is what humility is. Hear about it. Although suffering from leprosy, the Brahmana Vasudev was enlightened. As soon as one worm fell from his body, he would pick it up and place it back again in the same location. So he had worms in his entire body, and he was suffering because it kept biting you. So one bite of mosquito we cannot take, and his entire body was melting actually because of this disease, and it will have blood and pus on your entire body wherever because it's an infectious thing. And this worm was eating it. But what was he doing? As soon as a worm what happens actually, when the worm keep eating, and it gets full, it becomes too fat, and it falls off. Because the grip is not there, it's done. But how compassionate this Vasudev was, that he felt that, if I don't keep him on my body, what will he eat? And it will die. So he will again place the worm back. So you see how Samadarshina works. It's like, whether a human, what to speak of human, even a worm which is eating his own body, he was placing him back. So, yeah. Next one, 138. রাত্রিতে শুনিলা তেহ গোসাইর আগমন, দেখিবারে আইলা প্রভাতে কুর্মের ভবন. Then one night Vasudeva heard of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival. And in the morning he came to see the Lord at the house of Kurma. So he heard that night that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come. So he came to see him. 139. Prabhur gamon kurmo mukhete shuniya bhumite porila dukhe murchito hoiya. When the leper Vasudev came to Kurma's house to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was informed that the Lord had already left. The leper then fell to the ground unconscious. So what had happened? He had heard that Mahaprabhu was at Kurma Brahman's place. And Kurma Brahman, and so he thought, okay, morning I will go. So early in the morning he came. And as soon as he came to Kurma, Vasudev came to Kurma Brahman's place, he heard that Mahaprabhu has already gone because he was on a tour. So he was supposed to go on. So he moved on. And as soon as he heard it, this is the love of separation, you see, he fainted. So the Vasudev fainted. অনেক প্রকার বিলাপ করিতে লাগিলা সেই ক্ষণে আসি প্রভু তারে আলিঙ্গিলা. When Vasudev, the leper Brahmana, was lamenting due to not being able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately returned to that spot and embraced him. So he was lamenting, oh, I missed him. Even our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I have heard in a class that when he laments so much that he could not meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because the gap was not much, but he missed. So when we miss the Lord or his pure devotees, there should be always that mood of separation for Srila Prabhupada and those who would have, we are not able to serve our Gurudev anyway by Bapu all the time. So that mood of separation, of course, following his instruction is so important, Vani. But Bapu service is also important if you can. And that separation, that feeling, it is easy. I always feel that, we are like how you have practicing doctors. They're not yet doctor, but they're practicing doctors. I feel for myself, I'm a practicing devotee. Not yet there, but practicing, trying to be a devotee and not saying it in humility, but this is what it is. I don't know how it feels like to be separated from Krishna because I have no memory of it. But devotees, you can associate with your Guru Maharaj. And then when you come back, you feel that separation. Or a wonderful devotee. And this would be somewhat similar to when the gopis felt away. And I remember reading my Guru Maharaj's book when Srila Prabhupada left, from one place to another. The temple will feel the separation like the gopis would feel when Krishna left for Mathura. When he left Vrindavan, how gopis. And the devotees will feel, and how joyous they will be. Like as Krishna entered Mathura, how joyful the living entity, all the residents of Mathura. So that's how another temple will be excited to welcome him. But here there is a separation, but there is a union. There is a sambhog and there is vipralambha. So this love, this we can practice it. How it feels with Krishna, we will eventually get it when we can practice it with his pure devotees. So he was lamenting that, oh, I missed him. He was onek prakar, different kind of lamentation. He was saying things. And then, in that moment, what happened, that lamentation, he was lamenting, and Mahaprabhu came there. And he gave a hug to him. Hugged whom? Vasudev, his body was completely melting. And it smells, as I was telling, that it has blood and pus. It smells really, really bad, and which he will mention. প্রভুর স্পর্শে দুঃখ সঙ্গে কুষ্ঠ দূরে গেল আনন্দ সহিতে অঙ্গ সুন্দর হইল. Translation. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu touched him, both the leprosy and his distress went to a distant place. Indeed, Vasudeva's body became very beautiful to his great happiness. So as soon as Mahaprabhu hugged him, embraced him, his leprosy and his lamentation that I have not met him went away. What is happening next is even more, maybe for mundane people bewildering, but for us, to understand what humility is. প্রভু কৃপা দেখি তার বিস্ময় হইল মন, শ্লোক শ্লোক পড়ি পায়ে ধরি করে স্তবন. The Brahmana Vasudeva was astonished to behold the wonderful mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he began to recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam touching Lord's lotus feet. Kama daridra papayan kwa Krishna Sriniketana Brahma bandhuriti smaham bahubhyam parirambhita. He said, Who am I, a sinful poor friend of a Brahmana? And who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences? Nonetheless, he had embraced me with his 2 arms. There is one word is Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu means one who is like a son of a Brahmana, who may not be, practicing properly the rituals as a Brahmana. And this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1 from Ashwatthama. He was a son of a Brahmana, Dronacharya, but he acted so, his action was so abominable when he cut Pandava's, children's head. How can a Brahmana do like that? So he was mentioned as a Brahma Bandhu. So he is a son of, by birth he is a Brahmana, but by action he is not. This verse was spoken by Sudama Brahmana in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:81-16 in connection with his meeting Lord Krishna. 144-45 বহু স্তুতি করি কহে শুনো দয়াময়, জীবে এই গুণা নাহি তোমাতে এই হয়, মোরে দেখি মোরা গন্ধে পালায় পারামারা, হেই মোরা স্পর্শ তুমি, হেন মোরা স্পর্শ তুমি স্বতন্ত্র ঈশ্বরা. Translation. The Brahmana Vasudeva continued, O my merciful Lord, such mercy is not possible for ordinary living entities. Such mercy can be found only in you. Upon seeing me, even a sinful person goes away due to my bad bodily order. Yet you have touched me. Such is the independent behavior of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Going back to the verse, Bahu stuti kori kohe. Like he did he chanted many verses and he did a lot of stuti. Stuti is prayers. Shuno dayamoy, listen, O merciful one. Jibe ei guna nahi. A living entity doesn't have such quality. Tomate ei hoy, but you have it. More dekhi mora gondhe. Seeing me smelling me, my bodily odor. Palaye pamara. People run away. Even the pamara is a poor, a sinful person. Hena mora sporsho to me, but still you touched me. Swatantra Ishwar, you are the independent Lord. Why I went back to this verse and line by line, because it tells the supremacy of Supreme Personality of Godhead and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if I am not talking about others asking me whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or not. This is a verse for myself. If I get confused in life, if I get doubtful whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna are the same or not, it's there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he is the independent. And we see that even Krishna had this with, he showed his mouth to Mother Yashoda. So Krishna kept a very wonderful balance between doing activities which are humanly and also doing activities which are superhumanly. Same we see with Mahaprabhu also. We cannot hug somebody and cure them of any disease. Like even a cut, I have to myself put a band-aid. Prabhupada says that, if you are those who claim to be a God and they have toothache, how can God have toothache? First you cure yourself, then you cure others. Like when you are sick, how can you cure? So that's the point is, when I cannot help myself, how will I help others? But Mahaprabhu is hugging him and curing him for such a, such a painful disease. It is mental and physical both, because mentally people will stay away from you, and physically because it is painful. Did I read the? কিন্তু আছিলাম ভালো অধম হইয়া, এবে অহংকার মোরা জানিবে আসিয়া. Very, very beautiful, wonderful verse to not necessarily memorize, verse to keep in heart, I would say. Being meek and humble, the Brahmana Vasudev worried that he would become proud after being cured by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now he has become beautiful. Because when we don't have anything, it is easy to remember Krishna. It is easy to be humble. First day in the temple, because I don't know anything, so I'll like, oh Mataji, Prabhuji, all this. And once I know everything around what's where, I don't care who tells me what, I know it. So this is a transformation of bad attitude. Talking for myself, of course. But here he is worried that I have become beautiful now. I have become beautiful now. Now you will, I will get pride. And pride is more, what do you say, is more dangerous than this leprosy. Because leprosy with one life, it will go away. Pride comes, it will finish our many, many, many births of spiritual progress. So he's saying, I have become beautiful now. You made me beautiful. Now I will be proud. And everything will be finished. Body was okay, And what is Mahaprabhu's instruction is next. 147. Prabhu kahe kobhu tomar na hoibe obhiman nirantaro kaho tumi Krishna Krishna naam. To protect the Brahmana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised him to chant the Hare Krishna mantra incessantly. By doing so, he would never become unnecessarily proud. I'll go back to the verse again. Prabhu kahe, of course the Prabhu said, Kobhu tomar na hoibe obhiman, you will never be proud. Nirantaro kaho tumi, incessantly as it is mentioned, constantly. What do you say? Krishna, Krishna, Naam. So you continuously chant Krishna's name and you will never get pride. Yesterday, I don't know how many of you are here, when we were hearing Bhakti Charu Maharaj's class, there Maharaj was explaining how this Hare Krishna Mahamantra has come from the transcendental world. And this is also when Prabhupada was leaving his body or he was leaving a temple, the devotees were asking, Srila Prabhupada, how will we remain connected? And Srila Prabhupada said, when you chant on your beads and I chant on my beads. These beads are like our umbilical cord, that we are always connected to Krishna. Prabhupada is also connected through that and we are also connected through that. Now, one question that I get often, that, and Prabhupada himself was saying, I was hearing Canto 6, Canto 5 lecture, I think end of Canto 5 maybe, or beginning of 6, that this chanting is difficult to do. This chanting needs lot of piety to do. And even Jiva Goswami, I believe, if I'm not quoting it wrong, from I read it little bit, few pages, where what is Mahanidhi Swami's book, it's called Japa Meditation. There he mentions that until and unless one has enough piety, you cannot constantly chant Krishna. And I see it for myself. The moment I start Mahamantra, I said, okay, I'm wasting my time, let me chant. I mean, when not on my beads, I would not complete. By the time I go to Hare Hare, Hare Ram is gone. By the time my mind starts thinking something else. But Prabhupada is also saying in his lecture that it takes a lot of piety to chant. It is easier to hear about Krishna. And I'm putting few things together so that, it makes some sense. If not, you can ask me. I will try again. And I was hearing one of very senior disciple of Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. And he was saying, remember one thing, whatever we do, no matter what we are doing it to get ultimately taste of holy name. So even our hearing, our service, everything that we are doing is just to get the taste in Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Jai Shri Shri Radha Kala Chandji ki Jai. So whatever we are doing, we are hearing, we are serving, we are honoring prasadam, we are sleeping, we are, everything that we are doing it to get a taste in chanting the holy name of Krishna. So if you put things together, might make some sense, So if we, like after 16, it's very difficult for me to chant the 17th round. But it is easier for me to hear Krishna's. That's why if you see the 9 processes, it starts with Shravanam, because that's an easier gateway. So Prabhupada approved. He said, hear as much as you can. And hearing, again and again and again, and every day hearing, eventually brings the taste in Krishna's name to chant. And yesterday again, same Prabhu who was Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's disciple, he was talking about, it's a 4-minute short video. He was saying what is Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha, he was telling, it's a 4 minutes video, I'm just saying it 1-2 lines, that when you hear some sadhu, when we hear Srila Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj, we hear is one thing and putting it in our action is another. So when we do that, when we imbibe that mood, when we understand what he is trying to say and act upon it, and that's Sadhu Sangha is. So Mahaprabhu is saying, keep on chanting, you will not feel pride. And the moment actually when we chant Krishna Krishna, or when we are chanting the Mahamantra, we are putting Krishna before us. Automatically, as we were discussing the previous class, that you take the responsibility for Krishna, and that's humility. So we are putting Krishna before us. The moment you will become secondary and Krishna become primary, by chanting we are doing that. We are asking Krishna for service. We are accepting that we are the servant of Krishna. When we do that, humility automatically comes, and when there is humility, there cannot be pride. So I'll repeat that verse again. Prabhu kahe kobhu tomar na hoibe obhiman, nirantaro koho tumi Krishna Krishna nam. 148. কৃষ্ণ উপদেশী করো জীবের নিস্তার, আচরাতে কৃষ্ণ তো তোমা করিবেন অঙ্গীকার. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also advised Vasudev to preach about Sri Krishna and thus liberate living entities. As a result, Krishna would very soon accept him as his devotee. So we learned 2 words. One here is Angikar, and before that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving Alingan. So he was embracing him, and Angikar is that he is saying in reference to Krishna will accept you. I got a little confused while I was reading, so I just repeated myself. Purport. Although Vasudev Vipra was a leper and had suffered greatly, still after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cured him, he instructed him to preach Krishna consciousness. Indeed, the only return the Lord wanted was that Vasudev preach the instruction of Krishna and liberate all human beings. That is the process of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Each and every member of this society was rescued from a very abominable condition. But now they are engaged in preaching the cult of Krishna consciousness. They are not only cured of the disease called materialism, but are also living a very happy life. Everyone accepts them as great devotees of Krishna, and their qualities are manifest in their very faces. If one wants to be recognized as a devotee by Krishna, he should take to preaching work, following the advice of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then one will undoubtedly attain the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya, of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Lord Krishna himself, without delay. So wherever there is preaching, mentioned, Prabhupada's purport has to be there, and how Krishna consciousness movement is trying to preach the entire world has to be mentioned. 149. এতো কহি প্রভু কইলা অন্তরধানে দুই বিপ্রা গলা গলি কাঁদে প্রভুর গুণে. After instructing the Brahmana Vasudev in that way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared from that place. Then the two Brahmanas, Kurma and Vasudev, embraced each other and began to cry, remembering the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he actually appeared and then he disappeared. So this was a transcendental thing. It was not like he was walking and just came. But he got connected. Vasudev got connected through his lamentation, through his separation with Mahaprabhu so much that bound Mahaprabhu to come and appear in front of him. And this also gives us a hope that if we can, as Gaur Govind Maharaj would say, we should cry for Krishna. And if you cannot cry, then cry that you cannot cry for Krishna. And he goes on and on and on. And he also said that we should have a crying school. So when you cry for Krishna, or cry that you cannot cry for Krishna, in other words, that when in separation, when you remember Krishna so much, he has to come down to appear in front of you like he came for Gajendra. And appear and instruct and guided him how to come back to him. After instructing the Brahmana Vasudev, so we read the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, transcendental qualities. Now, remembering this is what Bhagavad Gita, I don't remember the verse as, like, Bodhayantascha Parasparam, like, we discuss and we talk amongst each other the verse. The Bhagavad Gita verse, that what do the devotees do? They don't talk mundane things. At least we are not supposed to. What are we supposed to say? We supposed to discuss Govardhan pastime, Damodar pastime, and what you have read, and you share with each other what is your realization, what is your thought, where is the confusion, and this is what the devotees should, exchange amongst themselves. And relish the wonderful pastime along with Prasadam, the pastimes of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I feel, for me at least, I don't know, is the language or it's just like that, I don't know what it is. For me, I feel Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are more relatable. Maybe it was like more recent, and it is because there's so much Prasadam mentioned here, and so much of friendship is mentioned here, and the dham that is mentioned there. So, it's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam is difficult than Chaitanya Charitamrita. For I feel, even Prabhupada said this is a PhD level book. Still, I feel more related or relatable with Chaitanya Charitamrita. বাসুদেব বোধায় কহিল আখ্যান বাসুদেব মৃত প্রদ হইল প্রভুর নাম. Vasudev, thus I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reclaimed the leper Vasudev and so received the name Vasudevamrita Prada. So his name became Vasudevamrita Prada, from Vasudev leopard, because he was no longer, he didn't have the leprosy anymore. The name Vasudevamrita Prada is mentioned in the verse composed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. 151. Eita kohila prabhur prathama gamana kurma darshan Vasudeva Vimochana. Thus, I end my description of the beginning of the tour of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His visiting the temple of Kurma and his liberating the leper Brahmana Vasudev. Shraddha kori ei lila je kore shravana chirate miloye tare chaitanya charana. I should have told this in the beginning of the class, isn't it? One who hears these pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great faith will surely very soon attain the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Should have known it in the beginning. If we would have known, then I would have paid more attention. Purport: when a person actually revives his consciousness with thoughts of Krishna, by mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he revives his spiritual life and becomes addicted to the service of the Lord. Only then can he act as an acharya. In other words, everyone should engage in preaching, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, one will be very much appreciated by Lord Krishna and will quickly be recognized by him. Actually, a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must engage in preaching in order to increase the followers of the Lord. Thus preaching actual Vedic knowledge all over the world, one will benefit all mankind. Just I'll go back to the previous line. It says, Actually, a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must engage in preaching in order to increase the followers of whom? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not for himself. So we preach to not get followers for us, but we preach so that Krishna has more followers. If we can keep that in mind, pride will not get in. চৈতন্য লীলার আদি অন্ত নাহি জানি সেই লিখি যেই মহান্তের মুখে শুনি. I admit that I do not know the beginning or the end of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. However, whatever I have written, I have heard from the mouth of great personalities. So there are unlimited pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's like Krishna's, but he has written as much he has heard from the Mahantas or Mahajans. ইতে অপরাধ মোর না লইও ভক্তগণ, তোমা সবার চরণ মোর একান্ত শরণ. Now this is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami at the age of 90. He is writing Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's been instructed by Nityananda Prabhu to write this scripture, blessed by Krishna himself. And what is he saying? He is saying, "Oh devotees, please do not consider my offenses in this regard. Your lotus feet are my only shelter." So our lotus feet is the shelter of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, is what he is writing, because we are the one who is reading. So do we see humility, Jai Hari Prabhu? Do you see the level of humility? It's amazing, unbelievable. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade jar asha Chaitan. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade jar asha Chaitanya Charitamrita kohe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 7th chapter, describing the start of the Lord's store of South India and the liberation of Brahmana Vasudev. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Any question, any correction? Yes. 154? 54? Iti aparadha more naloyo. That one that don't take, yeah. Do you see the humility? Yeah. Who is he here? The author of this book? Yeah. He said that you, Jai Hari Prabhu's feet are his shelter. Krishna is offering Krishna's feet as our shelter is no humility. That's a fact. That's what he said. Yes. Anything else? Yeah, but you need a mic, right? Or you can come here and talk. Krishna. You want to talk here? You want to sit? You want to sit?
This is what I was thinking about. It's from page 133 of the Ecstatic Love chapter of Nectar of Devotion. A professional speaker cannot impress transcendental ecstasy within the hearts of the listeners. However, when a realized soul who is engaged in the service of the Lord is speaking, he has the potency to inject spiritual life within the audience. One should, therefore, seek the association of such pure, unalloyed devotees, and by such association and service, a neophyte devotee will certainly develop attachment, love, and devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so I was just thinking about that, what I read yesterday, about how it's somebody that's not a professional speaker, but the person who is just doing it out of service can inject spiritual life into the hearts of the listener. And so I was wondering if that has any connection with being able to chant more japa, or in the connection with how we chant japa. Yeah.
That's the question. We don't have the second mic? Does it need turning on or anything?
Oh, Hare Krishna. Okay, I think we have it, yeah. I was just asking that question because I was also trying to understand what you were talking about between the difference between hearing and chanting, and how one was easier than the other.
That's what Prabhupada said about piety. That you have done enough piety, then chanting becomes very easy for you than somebody who has less of it. But nevertheless, hearing everybody can do. It's easy. That's what I was saying. In the 9 processes of bhakti, Shravanam come first, and then Kirtanam, then Vishnu Smaranam. So Shravanam is just, you can go on hearing. It doesn't need like lot of endeavor. Chanting, you have to focus, real chanting, sitting and then chanting. It needs lot of focus, lot of time, lot of concentration, lot of endeavor. Hearing, it's like, we are hearing, so instead of hearing any music, we are hearing Krishna's glories. And that will eventually give you the taste for, what do you say? But also one more thing, what you were saying, I don't know if I can relate to, you were saying that injecting spiritual, what is the word you said?
The words that Srila Prabhupada used was
when you serve such,
when hearing from a realized soul who is engaged in the service of the Lord is speaking, he has the potency to inject spiritual life within the audience.
Yeah, that's basically in general making people Krishna conscious. So we see how Prabhupada made so many devotees, right? Because he was he was very pure, and he didn't have any motivation also. Like he was not taking anything from them. He was just giving. So his purity made them, that is a verse or a song, I don't know, Darshane Pavitra Kare Vaishnava. Like a Vaishnav, just by you look at them or look at him, you get purified. Just by seeing a Vaishnav. That's the capacity of a Vaishnav. That's the capacity of any Vaishnav if one practices, Prabhupada says, strictly following the 4 regulative principle and chanting the 16 rounds. I think we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita also two classes back. And also Prabhupada in his lectures he mentioned very often that strictly following, he will not say following 4 regulative principle, he will say strictly following the 4 regulative principle and chanting 16 rounds. Sometimes he will say also offenselessly chanting. So when somebody is doing that and you hear from them, you take their association. It's like iron in the fire. It becomes so fiery that you cannot tell which is the fire, which is the iron. So when we serve without any motives, which are without interruption, apratihata, ahitukyan apratihata, without disruption, without any cause, and such a devotee, you take their association, eventually you will also become like that. And it is by mercy of devotee only we can become Krishna conscious. and advance also. So, do I make sense? Somewhat?
Yeah.
You can think or maybe come back again. Maybe Prabhu can help, ask Prabhu.
Oh, but thank you very much for making that wonderful point. How Srila Prabhupada says piety is required, right, for hearing and chanting. Then I was thinking that piety in Sanskrit means sukriti.
Sukriti.
So there are two types of sukritis. Gyata sukriti, knowingly, on purpose you do it, and agyata sukriti, unknowingly someone performs it. But if you see, the source for both lies in the sadhu sangha. Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya consists of Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So, when we are surrounded by the devotees, then there is an impetus to perform Gyata Sukriti. And those who are not motivated because of Ado Shraddha, if they're faithless people, they don't have the faith, somehow they come in contact with the association of devotees. There is a chance that they can also get the unknowing pious spirits.
Yeah.
And that pushes them, into the next step, which is Bhajana Kriya. So I just wanted to share. And another one you mentioned about His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj. He said, what if I don't feel like I can't cry for Krishna? Then you have to cry that I can't. And then he went, so on and so forth. So that reminded me of one time Radhanath Swami, he gave a class on praying, how to pray to Krishna. And then someone asked the same question. I don't have any playful mood. I don't know. When I go in front of the deities, I don't know how to pray. So same thing happened for next couple minutes. He just kept saying, if I don't know how to pray, then you have to pray to Krishna that I don't know how to pray. And if you don't know how, then you have to pray that I don't know.
Thank you so much for your association.
I do have one more thing,
Yes.
if it's okay. I'm just looking it up really quick so I can get the author. So, speaking about this mood of crying for Krishna, and also some people, like myself, we don't know how to cry for Krishna, right? And so, it's so beautiful that we can pray to know how to cry for Krishna. And I just wanted to share, if that's okay, that Bhaktivedanta Library Services in Belgium, they have a beautiful book called Crying for Krishna. Mm-hmm. And it's by Kanchana Bali Devi Dasi. Mm-hmm. And every page is filled with this mood of how to cry for Krishna. And every page has a prayer. And if anyone reads these pages, then it can kind of like transfer that emotion to the reader of how to cry for Krishna. And so it's really like a really great book.
The Swami one time he mentioned, our movement is nothing but, it's art of learning the art of crying for Krishna, through chanting. Thank you.
Yeah. So before I came here, recently I started doing, at least I read it once before I read here. And the moment when I was reading, Vasudev, when the worm, right, we were reading, the worm fell from his body and he put it back. Do you not feel like crying? When I read it first time, I felt so sad that he's so humble. Second, what am I proud of? When we hear, that's what I was saying, devotees and especially Chaitanya Charitamrita, when you see this is like, they say, it's said that Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Bhigyana Bhuje. Can you understand a person is suffering from leprosy? Who can understand this? And you are cured, and he's saying, I was better before. Now I'll get pride. Why? Because he's thinking of his spiritual life, not the material life. And when you read something, I feel like, if somebody says to me that cry, I cannot cry. But it's like a spontaneous, for me, I'm just saying what works for me. If I read something like that, I mean, where are they? And then he was saying like, and then Krishnadas Kaviraj was saying that, your lotus feet is my. Where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? He's a Manjari. He's so close to Radharani. He's telling any, street side person like me that your feet are my shelter. So when I read, especially when you read about humility, I feel, I don't know it will work for you or not, but instantly you feel so humble, and I feel very emotional. First time when I read at home, I got emotional, and then I read here second time, so I was better off. So that also I feel reading this will also help you to cry for Krishna.
Crying for Krishna is helplessness. I remember one senior devotee said, just like a small baby, right?
Yeah.
Baby feels utterly helpless for eating, sleeping, for any activity, bathing, right?
Yeah.
So what the baby has to do is simply just raise the arms.
Yeah.
Say,
But
Mommy
but what I feel, Prabhu, did you finish speaking? What I feel like, I honestly, on a physical level or a mundane platform, I can do my things. I don't feel, from a mundane mentality that I don't need Krishna, from a mundane sense. But when I read somebody like that, and I think I'm not humble like that, who can make me humble? Krishna can make me humble. I can make my own meal, I can sleep myself. I know end of it is without the will of Lord, a blade of grass can't move. But when I'm doing the day-to-day things, whether when I'm cooking for him or, whatever. But when I read something that is like completely beyond my understanding or comprehension, then I think, this thing I cannot do. This I need Krishna for. Then for me, crying for Krishna's help me to become like this. Because if I do not become like that, I cannot come back to you. So at least every one of us are different. So that's when I feel little helpless and feel like, asking Krishna. Otherwise, I all the time think I can do everything. Though that's not the truth, but that's my ego, is what I feel, Prabhu. Thank you. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Samamita Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.